Hello guys, it's AOD here with a new Demon Hunter guide. This one will cover the Natalya set for high greater rifts. It's extremely fun to play and very different from the Unhallowed Essence and Marauder Sentry builds that you are most likely accustomed to by now, especially if you like a faster paced build with insanely high crits. I will go over the build, the gear and the gemming, as well as going over the mechanics of this to see it in action and how to play it successfully. Before going over the build, you have to understand how the Natalya set works. After being changed in 2.2, the set now acts as a buff to Rain of Vengeance, making it your primary source of damage. It also reduces the cooldown of Rain of Vengeance by 2 seconds for each hatred generating and spending attack that hits an enemy. The rest of the stats you'll want on your gear or general skills you'll be using are there to complement Rain of Vengeance and nothing else. We have Strafe with Rocket Storm, using this rune so you can attack as many times per second as possible, reducing the cooldown on Rain of Vengeance via the Natalya's 2-set bonus. Then we have Rain of Vengeance with Stampede, which is a fire rune and also procs the knockback damage on your strong arm bracers, allowing you to do even more damage. Smokescreen with Displacement to allow you to survive in dangerous situations, as well as have mobility to move out of different affixes or maybe even skip elite packs that would otherwise slow you down too much. Preparation with Punishment to replenish your hatred and spam more strafe. Companion with Wolf for an almost constant damage buff. And Focus to regenerate hatred as well as proc Nat's 2-set bonus in between your strafe attacks, and on top of that proc your focus and restraint buffs. As passives, we have Ambush for the burst on Rain of Vengeance, Steady Aim, Single Out for the Rift Guardian, as well as Spread Out Mobs, Call the Weak and Awareness. The gear, you'll have a very important item, a set that you will need to complete, as well as something I have to mention about your offhand, so let's get those out of the way first, since they're the most relevant. First, the Crashing Rain belt. This is the bread and butter of this build, besides Natalya's full set. It basically represents a 4000% damage attack to the location where you'll cast your Rain of Vengeance. This is the ability that can sometimes crit up to 9 billion or even more with party buffs. About your offhand, you can use either the Balefire Caster, the one-handed crossbow with fire damage, which I don't have, or the Calamity if you like the former. Very important to know, however, is that your offhand is nothing more than a stat stick. The Rain of Vengeance damage is calculated from your main hand crossbow. In other words, feel free to get all the useful stats you want on your offhand, such as cooldown reduction, hatred regen, vitality, socket, etc., and completely ignore the damage. Then, as mentioned, we have Natalya's full set except the ring. On the helmet, you'll want toughness, crit chance, and a socket. Remember, strafe isn't there for the damage, but the cooldown reduction. Toughness is also not that bad of a choice with Nats, since you gain 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds after casting Rain of Vengeance. On gloves, you'll want crit chance, crit damage, and cooldown reduction. Your chest with Vitality, Dexterity, and Rain of Vengeance damage. Pants, Vitality, Dexterity, all resist, and 2 sockets. On the boots you want Vitality, Dexterity, all resist, and movement speed. Same as the helmet, you don't really care about the strafe damage, plus this will allow you to invest more points into Dexterity and buff your Rain of Vengeance more. On the Nat's crossbow you'll want max damage, percent damage, Rain of Vengeance damage, socket, and cooldown reduction. As your shoulders, you'll want your Skeleton King's Pauldrons, which is a reward from Act 1 bounties, with Dexterity, Vitality, cooldown reduction, and Rain of Vengeance damage. These shoulders can sometimes act as a second awareness, keeping you alive. For bracers, you'll want strong arms with fire damage, Dexterity, Vitality, and crit chance. On your ring slots, you'll be using Focus and Restraint, with crit chance, crit damage, and sockets. Your amulet, preferably a Hellfire amulet with fire damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a socket. This would be ideal, if not Dexterity instead of fire damage. Going on to the gemming, we have Gogok of Swiftness, which increases your attack speed, which means higher proc rate on Nat's 2 set, as well as a cooldown reduction, which helps all your cooldowns. This can be switched out for Zaze for more upfront damage, but this allows the cooldown refresh to be way smoother with Gogok, allowing more Rain of Vengeance, Wolves, and Preparation. In case you want higher damage but not higher DPS, you'd then use Zaze, Bane, and Teguk. If not, we'll be using Teguk, which will stack easily via Strafe. And in the last slot, we'll be using Bane of the Trapped, which will be procced by your follower. Paragon points distribution. You want to max out movement speed and then put all the rest of your points in dex. Then cooldown reduction, crit chance, crit damage, and attack speed. In the last tree, you'll be getting resource cost reduction and area damage. The mechanics are pretty simple but extremely fun. It will take some getting used to if you played a lot of M6 and UE. Basically what you need to do is keep cycling between Strafe and Evasive Fire with Focus to proc both your rings and keep your hatred high. I recommend using a standstill key plus Strafe to strafe without targeting any mob. Then quickly moving your mouse cursor over the mob you want to attack with your Rain of Vengeance. Use Wolf on cooldown, Punishment when low on hatred, and Smokescreen when in danger or you want to skip a pack. Try to stay as far as possible from elite packs, only go in if necessary, but keep in mind you need to hit mobs in order to reset your Rain of Vengeance cooldown, so no wasting time on a single mob, except if it's the Rift Guardian or a yellow elite. That's about it folks, hope you enjoyed this guide and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll leave you with some gameplay now. Cheers!